Bravo, Natania. You know, with most people, there's so many things in the Beethoven we have to discuss, but not necessary with you. That's a compliment. No, I mean, you use your brain. That's good. Let's talk a little bit about Tchaikovsky first. No, but you know, it's funny, right at that point when you had that little slip, yeah. I was thinking to myself, you see, Natania? See, it was a good thing that you did this. Now you're feeling confident. And that's right when that happened. So I'm curious, what actually happened?
Are you talking about right at the end?
Yes.
I don't know. It was something about my fingers. It just, I really don't know what happened. It was a glitch.
Did you forget a fingering?
It was at the end.
It was right, it was going to that last passage. I thought it was right before the passage, going back up to it. No, your one wasn't it? It was there.
Maybe it was just right here.
No?
And I didn't get this. It was just something really
Okay,
silly.
could you show me the fingering that you're doing from the low D? See, I'm always confused because I play the original version of this, and those are all those passages are written differently. Mm-hmm. So how is this actually written again? The original passage in this particular case is actually simpler to play. Yeah, but you're playing this version, so. Because the original passage is B, C sharp, D, B, C sharp, D, F sharp, and then that, D. In which case, the best fingering would be one. Now, however, Natania, in either case, whatever passage you play, and whatever fingering you eventually choose, there's one thing that you're consistently showing me, which is working against you. I'm not saying that that is the cause of the problem, but it could be. And that is, in each case, your shift is taking place on the new bow instead of the old bow, which means simply you're not anticipating the new position. And even at this tempo, that's what you're doing. So the fact is, you're not able to release the tension between the positions, so that increases the danger of getting stuck. I'm not saying that's why that happened, but let's go back to the passage you play, just slowly if we could, once again from the low D. Yeah, that is the proper timing. Now, inevitably, I'm not sure, we have to look at that again because there may be a better fingering, but inevitably what happens in those cases, and that's what I think we need to, by the way, when you're at a distance, you can afford to play the spiccato passages in general with a higher bounce. Okay. You can. Okay. It almost sounds on the string. Okay. In fact, it sounds quite on the string a lot of the time. Okay. Yeah, more than you might think. Yes. Okay. Now, the thing about playing spiccato passages is, of course, we have to be able to control the bow so that we can get close to the string or on the string when we need to. And in those cases, when you have those types of shifts, those are the moments when you need to be able to get closer to the string and control the timing of the bow, right? So actually, in the practice process, that's also important, to think about. The problem is when we practice those spiccato passages slowly, we can't really play them off the string, obviously, because it's a different motion.
Coordination.
Right.
Coordination is so hard.
It's difficult, but I think since the only way to practice those passages is on the string, you just have to keep in mind where probably you're going to come closer to the string. Shifts, when you have many single notes one after the other, all these scaled passages. When you have more repeated notes, when you're staying in position more, that's an opportunity to come off the string more. Also, just in general, I would say, once again, this is what I hear, and it's always very instructive to be able to hear you all in a different space. But what I heard from a distance was, especially in the lower strings, you could actually bounce more than you think. You know, I don't know. But for example, when you started the fast passage, I'm just curious to know what that sounded like here. If you remember more or less how you played it.
Well, actually, this time to me it sounded pretty fuzzy. I think I was more sul tasto than I would have wanted to be.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm curious to know what it actually sounded like here.
I mean, this is how it sounded under my ear.
Yeah, you could get much more core in the sound and definition. Maybe not that far, but and a little fuller hair. Absolutely. It's much more distinct.
Yeah.
And actually, there's more body on each note. And curiously enough, and that is actually an important thing, I hear the pitches better. Simply just hear what they are better.
Yeah.
You know? The thing is that we're always concerned in things like that to avoid unwanted surface noise or, you know, scratching, that kind of thing. But we know that at a distance, some of that disappears. What we don't always know is how much of it and what actually disappears. My, let's say, rule of thumb always, if you get the core of the sound, whatever that means to you, but the core of the sound, I think the extraneous noise around, that tends to disappear. The scratch becomes really disturbing as an unwanted sound when actually the string isn't really going into vibration. It's hard under the ear to know exactly what that defining line is. But if you have any doubts, even from that short distance, that sounded, I heard no extraneous sound, but there was much more definition in everything. Yeah. Okay? Now, just let's work on the beginning, if you would. I feel like the whole thing basically is fortissimo, right?
Right.
And what happens is your desire to look for variety at the end of the line, I feel like the second half of the phrase kind of falls. This is still fortissimo. Yeah. There is a change here. It's true. But at the same time, I think that's more just a kind of is this the right dynamic? Also, in the original version, it's not like that. But anyway, this is the version you're playing. That you maintain the intensity of the line. Let just the change of register sort of give the sense of relief, you know. Okay. Let's try the beginning. Also, right from the very beginning, Natania, you have these long notes, a half note, then a dotted quarter, and then the next note is an eighth note, right? Yes. If we don't think about it, curiously, the eighth note gets cheated. It just seemed to be, it was suddenly the music getting smaller, just because it was a quicker note value. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe in the course of also going down, that you give those notes more space, more importance, so that they don't get lost. And I think if you could do that in one bow, I think it's still preferable. You know what I mean? I think you could probably more than you think save on the F sharp, and if the gesture itself of the two notes in one bow, I think is equally as important as having that F sharp be absolutely as vibrant as it can be throughout the note. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think you can split the difference. I feel like you're trying to do T, well, I got a bow, I have to change. I don't think you need that much there, but if we miss the connection, there's something lost in the tension of the phrase. Yeah, what if you go more towards the frog at the attack of the F sharp and slow down the bow and use the vibrato to keep the sound open? And right there where you change F sharp to E, that's where, yes. Let's start again. Let's try that again. Kill it.
Well, because I was,
Yeah, I know. But, you know, Natania, you are in complete control of the timing of each one of these parts of the phrase. I feel a little bit like even the second one, you feel this need to get there on time. And you're in complete control of what that time is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're chasing it if that's what you force yourself to do.
Right.
By the way, I know this sounds weird to say it, but if you could play fortissimo knowing that you still have more.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
It's like the Dvorak concerto, which is a little different, but everybody wants to play the beginning the biggest they possibly can. And basically, it's downhill from there for 35 minutes. You never can reach what you did in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Of course, there, Dvorak was right. The beginning is forte.
Yeah.
The next phrase is fortissimo. Here, it's more complicated, because the beginning is fortissimo, and it's got to be that. Yeah. On the other hand, if you can't produce each step along the way, then you've got to figure out another way. So I think for you, it has to be fortissimo. But not your maximum fortissimo, you know?
Yes, I know.
Beautiful. Still not completely convinced. The connection there, G to F sharp. Could you just play that, Natania? Just T. Yeah, it doesn't. Yes. Let it sing. No, but it's already much better. You know what it is? Let's say that next part of the phrase is mezzo forte.
Yeah.
Is there a real need to make a big diminuendo in the bar before? Just maybe sustain the idea. Not play big to the end, just sustain it. Don't drop it. Nice. Good. These are little details, but it sounds like you don't maybe mean it, but that you're thinking two separate ideas. It's an appoggiatura, right? Yeah, but you're still giving a pulsation on the C sharp. And sustain. Just play the D, C sharp. I think not an impulse on the C sharp, but not dropping it. There's something about when you vibrate the C sharp, you give some type, there's a response in your bow. Exactly. There's no speed change anywhere. Beautiful. Maybe just once, if you would play the D, Natania, like a half note, and imagine the C sharp coming. But sustained. And now the two notes. Yeah, there is where you want to change the speed of the bow. You do this.
That's what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so in one idea. The bow is one idea. Good. Fingering wise. It's possible. A, G. Maybe. But then I don't understand why. Then I don't understand that one. Are you seeking a glissando between F sharp and D sharp? After? No.
There?
Yeah.
Well, it's just because it's good to vibrate on that finger.
Yeah, but it's also good to vibrate on fourth finger. And in the end, if you're unhappy with that, though you should practice it, so try as much as possible to be able to. 3 is a possibility too. My point is, there in the end of the phrase, these 2 downward glissandi. The first one, it's a question of choice. I may or may not do it, but I could see it. But then the last one, ending with a downward glissando again, it just sort of sounds like, yeah, it's kind of there. I don't really necessarily mean it, but it's there. You know? There's another choice. Well, let's do your glissando. And how about T, 1, 4. Aha. That has a certain class about it, doesn't it? I think, yeah. Good, let's go on. That's all I meant, Natania.
Yeah.
It's this succession of ideas, you know. The first one clearly is an artistic or musical choice, fine. The second one I wondered about. And when you said it was because you preferred your vibrato on the second thing, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a shame if you're not able to do the other and you end up making a musical choice just, you know, and you just did, it was beautiful. Okay, let's go on. Just right before the...
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Natania, it's very expressive. I'm wondering if the sound needs that much weight at the beginning.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
It seems a little determined.
Yeah.
I would think upper half more. Yeah. What if you play more towards the middle but with more pressure? Yeah. And let the sound flow out a little bit more. In other words, in terms of planning the bow, there's obviously a more need for weight at the top of the phrase. Don't get into that region before. That doesn't mean now that you're playing in a different part of the bow that you can't make contacts and give some weight to the sound. It's just a question now of the character of the sound at that point. The phrase is going somewhere and it starts that way. It doesn't sit. It's not ta-da-dum, it's ya-da-da-da. It's already in motion. So I think you need more mobility in your bow and in the vibrato and the sound in general there. Okay, what's the character of that music, would you say? It's pezzo capriccioso, so of course
It's capricious.
it's capricious, but what is this?
Whimsical.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay. Yeah.
Good, so we agree on the word.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it comes into focus later. I mean, it's still kind of...
It seems a little determined. Ya-da-da-dee-da, ya-da-da-dee-dee.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Less purposeful. Natania, would you try that once again right at the whimsical part? Yada. It's good. Maybe one more time. Just a freer use of the bow. It seems a little... Yes. Yeah. If it's whimsical and capricious, then it shouldn't be moving with such certainty. La da ta 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 ya. More unpredictable. Yes. Yeah. I like the idea, but I don't see why the music has to stop there.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, it's a suspension of time. It's not a stop, right? And what about this? And then I think the music needs to be more, you know. Yeah, even at this distance, I feel like the lower strings need more time. I know you're thinking of it. I think it can be more so. You know, as you go down to the bottom and the real import and the D itself. Yeah, let it sound and let it open up, you know. Let's try that again. Yeah, good. That's the idea. It's there. Now don't hit it. Draw the sound. And by the way, Dana got it the second time because you made more sense of how you were preparing that event.
Yes.
The first time you just did it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the point. Also, it becomes more understandable to the listener when you think of it in those terms, which means as you go to the C string, that you see that these notes are giving, stretching and creating more space, which is what you need. It doesn't have to be a bigger sound on the bass. There needs to be more space and time. Yes. Natania, as you get more intense, don't become more vertical, especially with your body motions. Because what happens is the sound gets cut off as soon as you attack.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of wanted, can I try it one more time?
You kind of wanted it.
Yeah, because then I wanted to stretch it afterwards.
Yeah, but you're actually producing vertical motions with your body. And you still need to be thinking in these terms. So the musical intention, fine. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking about how you actually physically realize that.
So maybe
Natania, good. Is there something you can do with your sound so my attention right there goes to Dana?
Yeah, okay.
Just right there. So you're playing, it's like we're thinking that, this is going to be that. And then it's kind of like, no, you want to listen to what's going on in the piano. It's a subtle thing, but right in the middle of your phrase you can do that.
Can we try one more time?
Yes? Yeah, but that's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, also, I like the idea, but I still don't see why the music has to stop there. You know, point out that idea if you want, but not at the expense of the whole line. Yeah, well now you just didn't do it.
Yeah, I know. Okay, one.
These are ideas that I think create unexpected events in the line, but the line is still there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Just, you see the road, now you could go that way, you're going a different way. But basically, you're still on the same path, okay? So musically, all that means is, it is some type of deviation, but not a stop. That's all. get it more if you didn't create such a big change of character in the sound in the note after.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That you still saw that as coming out of the E. I would say just at that moment, a little less pressure in the bow, a little freer, let it float a little bit more, let our attention wander to what might be happening in another zone. You know? Yeah, great. Natania, let's hear all the notes as you go up. Speed is not the most important thing.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like there's a point, it's like da 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 dee, da da da. What the heck? That's the point. When you think what the heck, that's what I would like to hear. Okay? You know, just try to build the idea. You know, so you do start more slowly. That's right. I think so.
Yeah.
You know, da 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 da. It's an upward spiral. That's all it is. It's not a virtuoso passage per se. Once again. Yeah, I like the idea of the glissando. I'm not sure it should come all the way down from the lower intestines. Thank you. That's just a question of taste, you know?
Yeah.
From up here, not maybe down there. There. If you think, as you go up, you start to get a little concerned about it, sing through those lines, sing through every position change. Every time you're thinking, oh, am I going to get this shift? That's when you should think, sing the shift. And mostly, keep your body back there. Yeah, don't go up on the cello. Move this way if you want. Good. Yeah, once more. Absolutely, it's a sing. If you think, other than the fact that when you go on YouTube and you hear every cellist trying to play it faster than the human ear can comprehend, other than that fact, it's much more beautiful when it's just sung.
Yeah.
It's actually very beautiful like that. After that, there's this thing, you know, we want to be able to play it fast. It's not all that fast. Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They're just sextuplets. The only point, however, is it's completely unmusical to play. Da-da-da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da-da-dee, da-da. We know that. So speed is not the only determining factor here, of course. It's a question of phrasing, shaping, pacing, that kind of stuff. So the idea of speeding up is not completely invalid. It's not that. But I think if you think, utilize other parameters that are available, ultimately it's an expressive passage. Okay? So, Natania, that little F sharp E 3-2 thing that you do. No. That one.
Yeah.
With great class, elegance, and pure sentiment.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Don't let it get maudlin. Maximum. Yeah, because otherwise it sounds, okay, don't take it badly, cheap.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I know you don't want that. But I think the expression has something. There is something. That's what it is. Yeah. But it becomes, you know, there's good Italian opera and there's bad Italian opera. Keep it in the good.
Still too much.
No, it's not a question of too much. It's the sentiment that's behind. You're trying to make it happen. It's there. Okay?
Yeah.
But think of the expression ta-ra-ra-dee, ra-ra-ra. That's what it is. So you have that little glissando idea that's part of it. Great. Don't play the glissando. Let the glissando be part of the expression. That's all.
Okay, one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the phrase sort of blossoms too early. Why there? That's when it should come up. As for that glissando, it's become a thing now.
Yeah.
Now I've pointed it out, and
I have to think about it. I'll just think about it.
well, probably better not to think about it at all. Keep your body open. Yeah. Once again, you play from there, and just listen to just how you're intonating. Just that last part of. Yeah, let's hear that. Yeah. The interval relationships don't seem absolutely. Could you play us that fourth? As a fourth? Well, yeah. Just the two notes together. Yeah. So. Yeah, could you play the phrase then? The A sharp, la da da. Yes. You know, just so you force yourself to hear the important intervals in the phrase. You know, I think I'm not going to say it as a general rule, but certainly in this phrase and most phrases in classical and romantic music, because of how harmony works and so forth, there are key points within a phrase that you intonate around. C sharp, F sharp, the notes around them. La da da dee ti, A sharp related to B. You know all those things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not hearing right now.
Sure.
Seems a little bit slippery.
Throughout the piece.
No, right there.
Okay, great.
Right there. And it probably has to do with the fact that you're playing in an extended position. So you just have to be. Then D, B. And then the D again. La da da da. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you just hear those as important points of reference. C sharp, F sharp, B, D. Whenever you come back to them, that's what they are. And you have to be able to go back. If you don't, it sounds a little bit like you're swimming around them, you know. Let's do a little bit of the. I was going to say the presto. It's not a presto. It's the same tempo. It's the same tempo. Once again, Natania, I think it could be bouncier. Natania? just so you know, I think the idea of the phrasing and so forth, that all makes sense. Right now, when you go to the C string, curiously enough, more than you would want, it disappears. And it doesn't need to. The phrase is at a lower point. But the fact that you're on the C string already, but if in addition you accentuate that by playing, it's curious, but it gets lost more than you realize. The register already creates more of a sense of when the music goes up, it tends to open up. Not always, but here it does. You know, so he's using the register in the shape of the line in a, let's say, logical way. I don't think we should drop more than that. Could you do maybe second phrase? The second time.
But the first time is still at the beginning of the
right before. By the way, I didn't bother you about it, but I remember mentioning it at one point to you. You have a tendency to play collapsed here. You know that. So every time you shift and are playing a whole step between thumb and one, try not to let your hand get into this position, but just keep it there.
So right now,
right there.
You're playing a little more on the string. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, this, relatively speaking, yes. Let's do that version. The second one. But could you start again? That was very good. Yeah, you don't have to attack the C string. Just normally, but don't drop to, you know, an inaudible dynamic. Yeah, and then when you go up to the top, then you can start using, Natania, when you go up to the top A string, you can use a little bit more bow in comparison. Okay? Let's start at the low C, F sharp. Yeah, this, regardless of the dynamic, it sounds heavy-handed if we play low in the bow and heavy. Yeah, try to control the speed by the amount of bow you use.
More or less?
A little bit more bow, but not low in the bow. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Unfortunately, I see that time is up. And I see you tomorrow for a lesson, right?
I have a lesson
Later today. Well, then we need to start now for whoever has the 4 o'clock. Alors, malheureusement, la masterclass est terminée. Et nous avons des cours maintenant. Voilà. Mais c'est pas ici. Hein. Where is it? Merci d'être venu. Bon après-midi. Hein.